What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. We're going live here for a midday PTA. I got Tim joining me from Green Bay. I think Jacob will be with us here in a second. He's just got to clock out for his lunch break over at the office, and then we'll get this thing cranked up. But obviously, no big news breaking this afternoon, but we want to give you guys a show. There's not going to be a show tonight. There will be two tomorrow, though. We'll do one in the morning, one in the evening, giving you guys any of the updates that may or may not hit as well. But we do got several things to talk about. Tim, before we dive into what I got lined up, man, you got anything on the forefront of your mind? Anything you want to hit on first?
No, just happy for a midday show. This is kind of cool, man. I like this. Got to get it in while you can.
Absolutely. We got Easton Butler in the house, one of the heroes here on the show, man, always providing us great info with all the Packer visits, man. You're crushing it out there. We appreciate you.
Love it.
Uh-oh, here we go. He already said it. We had scouts at Wyoming's Pro Day. So got the cowboy hat emoji. I like it. Appreciate all that info, Easton. You're crushing it, dude. It's been so vital to what we do, and we always try to give a shout out for you. Everybody, make sure you go follow him on X. One of the best Twitter follows, no doubt about it.
Turn your notifications on too, because you never know when he's going to drop something. You'll get it right away. It's
literally one of about 6 accounts that before I go live every day, I check it and see, okay, is there something we need to lead with here, because the information is just great. Again, we appreciate you, buddy. We got Chris, the casual, in the house. The minute it's looking like, I don't know, boys, the closer we get, and it's only March, but the closer we get to that fifth-year option deadline, it's kind of, I'm starting to feel like Chris ain't going to get a couple dozen donuts delivered to his house, man. I think he might have this one. It's just with the value of the fifth-year option for Quay Walker being so expensive, that one's probably not going to get touched. The whole Devontae Wyatt thing is, man, how many defensive tackles that the Packers have shown interest in this draft. Like, I'm looking at our draft board, Alfred Collins right off the bat's one of them. Walter Nolan they met with, probably Easton Butler that shared that information with us, I'm sure. Kenneth Grant's another one they met with. They may not pick up that fifth-year option on Devontae Wyatt. And when that happens, well, Chris going to get a couple dozen donuts, man. We're men of our word here, Chris, right? And we want to contribute to anyone's obesity that we possibly can. Okay?
Chris is going to get them Krispy Kremes, and we're all going to be like
thick.
Right. Hey, let's start the show off right here. Krispy Kreme donuts, what's your go-to? Mine is the chocolate-covered cream filled. Hands down. That's my favorite.
Dude, I got to go with the OG, just the regulars, man.
That hot and ready sign on?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jacob, what about you, man? Pink sprinkles.
Nah, man. They had this place, I can't remember where it was, but they slice the donut in half and you turn it into a burger, and it's delicious.
Oh my goodness.
That sounds amazing.
Day shift at the Oval Office approved right there.
Exactly. All right. Let's see what Elijah says here. Put the first Krispy Kreme in Cincy a few years ago. Opening day line was over an hour for donuts. But hey, let's go. Cincinnati is a cool town. I don't know if y'all have ever been there. I went to several business conferences there. I haven't got the chance to watch a football game there yet. I have been to the Great American Ballpark, or whatever they call it now, to watch the Reds play. Cincinnati is a really, really cool town. You ever had a chance to go there, Jake?
No.
We need to get you there sometime.
Yeah.
You might not make it out.
Natty one time. Yep.
Yeah. Natty's awesome, man. Being from Kentucky, that's like, what are they doing across the river, man? That's a big city to live in. You know what I mean? That's the way that goes. So appreciate you joining us, Elijah. All right. Let's get into it here. Unbelievable. Ari Iron Miner. I was surfing for news on Ukraine ceasefire and found PTA. It's pretty much the same thing, right? It's like war in here. I'm just telling you, these guys get off the rails sometimes. Speaking of off the rails, you see this, Jacob? Life comes at you fast, man. Look at old Ben Johnson when he got hired, and just 49 days in. Look at this guy. Look like a president 3 years into a term. Like
get ready to go. I don't know, man. I mean, can you imagine taking that job and not, stressing a little bit? I mean, I would never want to accept that position. I just wouldn't.
Yeah. Me neither, man. Me neither. Tim, I know you got a good cackle out of this, man. You think Ben Johnson? How many years is Ben Johnson going to make it in Chicago? Does he make it a full 4, or is it going to be a couple and they're going to move on?
Let's go one at a time. let's just see. Yeah, Ari Iron Miner, worn down already. Exactly like you said, Clay. Like looking like a president, like 45 minutes in the office here.
No doubt.
Like,
so
holy cow.
Chuck,
go ahead.
Chuck says he already looks like a 6-win season.
Get ready to go.
He does. No doubt about it. We'll see how he holds up, man. T's and P's to old Ben Johnson over there. He's not looking good at the moment. But again, I do want to say I feel like they've done better this offseason than they have in the past. In the past, there's been all this hype created around how they built their teams, and every year I'm going, I don't see this. Don't see how that helps them. This year they have tried to solidify the trenches a little bit, and I think that is the right way to go for Chicago. Now, I'm sure they'll still screw it up. Let's hope they do, right?
Playoffs? Don't talk.
All right. So I thought this was cool. Matt Schneidman put this out earlier today. Said Nate Hobbs volunteered at a domestic violence shelter on several Mother's Days, hosting dinner, taking their kids to a park and buying them flowers and roses. Get to know the newest Packer from the community, work to his play style in our lengthy conversations. You go check out that article at thenewyorktimes.com. Just go to Matt Schneidman's Twitter, at Matt Schneidman. Heck of an article right up there on Hobbs. We already talked about the letter or the tweet, the social media post he put out whenever Rich Bisaccia was let go from the Raiders, that kind of tight-knit relationship they had, that father-son-like relationship there when he played for the Raiders. I think this is awesome, dude. The more we hear about Hobbs, the more excited I am to root for this dude. He seems like he's going to be a great asset to the team, but also a great asset to the community there in Green Bay.
Yeah, for sure. Does it right. Fits the Packer way, as we say, right? The mold, on the field, off the field, in between the field. This is just a stand-up dude, and, you can look at the tape, man. I think we got one here. I really do. I think he's going to fit in real nicely into this secondary and, also into Coach Haas' whole scheme here when it comes to DBs. I mean, he's a guy that rallies to the ball, but, also, like, the off-the-field stuff is awesome, So many times you kind of scratch your head and wonder, like, regardless of how well you play the game, like, are you going to fit in here in Green Bay? And I think Nate Hobbs is going to fit in perfectly. I don't know. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, it always seems to be the case that when we look into sort of head scratchers, sometimes we're like, why would we bring this guy in, or what is the benefit? And then you get to know their kind of personality and their character and their background, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a culture guy, this is a great locker room guy, and the fact that he can play football doesn't hurt. Yeah. And I think that's like Daryl said, that's a mighty good beard, I must say. Yeah. He's gonna fit right in.
Jacob knows all about it too, man. That's a man with pelts on the wall right there, talking about it, no doubt about it. So more on Nate Hobbs. Actually, our buddy Easton Butler, who was in the chat just a second ago, said new Packers cornerback Nate Hobbs recently spoke to Athletics' own Matt Schneidman. Hobbs mentioned who reached out to him. This is really, really interesting. This is the type of stuff that Easton does, man. He knows how to read between the lines. Quote, yeah, X reached out to me, talking about Xavier McKinney, Rashawn Gary, Jaire Alexander actually congratulated me. And those guys so far. Cornerback Nate Hobbs, when asked who reached out so far. And I wanted to hit that because, as Deadfish said here, Deadfish says, sounds a little like Jai's expected to be back. The fact that he reached out to Hobbs is interesting. There's no Raider ties. To the best of my knowledge, there's no college ties. There's no reason for him to reach out to Hobbs if he's on his way out. I don't know, man. It just seems like the deeper we get into this offseason, it kind of does feel like Jai might be back. And I know Tim probably happier than anybody on this.
Dude, I am, man. And, we can say what we want about the health, right, and the availability and everything. But, like, a guy like Nate Hobbs just makes it make more sense to me because you've got that versatility. And, let's not forget about Carrington Valentine, right, a guy who finished the year strong. Somebody I think you and I are both rooting for as well. And then we've got the added bonus of Keyshawn playing well on the boundary. So, even if Jai's only good for 8 to 10 or 12 games or 9 games or 5 games, whatever, I would love to see one more year Jai, auditioning for wherever his future contract may lie, or staying here for the long haul. It doesn't matter. I think 2025 is going to be a great year for this secondary. Just getting that vibe already.
Yeah. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows I've been up and down with Jaire, and kind of I've more mirrored the vibes I'm getting from him. And if his vibes are coming back now that he's excited, that he's revamped, maybe the offseason kind of rejuvenated him a little bit. maybe he's got a little bit of the FOMO and he looks in that secondary like Tim was just talking about. He's like, dang, dude, I could be a part of a pretty solid unit. And I would have to believe that Halfley would want him in that lineup compared to not having him. And like you said, just everything with the contract, the way that everything's coming down with the deadlines, the free agency, it just doesn't seem to make sense that at this point we wouldn't be leaning towards keeping him.
Just here to tell you, Pack is back.
You heard it from a fan right here.
All right. So here's the other thing, too. We talked about a potential restructuring of the contract. When you restructure the contract, typically what you're doing is one of two things. You're either asking them to take a pay cut. I don't think they're going to do that with Ja because Ja will just laugh at them, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing you can do is convert base salary and roster bonus to signing bonus and potentially do a little trade-off, a little more guaranteed money, right? Now, they didn't go that route, so what does that tell you, right? They could be just, hey, let's leave the contract alone. Let's look to trade him. That's still on the table. We would all agree, right? And then the other thing is, why would you want to guarantee more money if the problem has been he's been injured? Because if he's injured, that game check, if he's not active on game day, to the best of my knowledge, 100% of that goes back to the team and he doesn't actually get paid that. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of makes sense. It makes zero sense to restructure him. I'll just put it that way, right? And he was one of the players on our list that was kind of primed for a restructure in terms of the money you could potentially free up. If my numbers are still correct here, Jaire Alexander's base salary was I think it was around 16.1 million, along with other bonuses, workout bonuses, things like that you could potentially convert to signing bonus. So Goody might be looking at it like, look, if he is hurt again, and let's say somebody's best offer was what Wildy reported, and that's a 4th or a 5th round pick. If Ja's cool with playing, and you might get some of that back if he doesn't play, y'all can keep your 5th round pick if we might potentially get a motivated all-pro caliber cornerback, you know what I mean, or Pro Bowl cornerback, whatever you want to call it. So I can see where Goody's coming from here. And I know people get impatient and they're just, hey, look, let's push it through. And the trade could happen any second. We're fully aware of that, right? But to me, it does make a little sense as to why Goody's
the best guy around.
Goody's like, hey, he's frustrated. We're frustrated. Maybe they've sat down and kind of worked it out. Like, hey, look, if we get he may have been 100% upfront with Ja too and said, look, if we get the right offer, we'll let you know what team it is. And let's make a decision together. It could be like that too. I think everybody just assumes the worst, that he and the organization hate each other. I don't think that's the case. I think he has ruffled some feathers and the team disciplined him. And I think they truly have turned the page from that point. But the problem has been he's not been on the field. But if he hasn't been on the field, let's trade him and get a 1st round pick, I'm totally on board with that. The problem is there ain't nobody giving a 1st round pick. Probably the best you're going to get is a 4th or a 5th. Why not ride this thing out? And if he isn't healthy, you get a little bit of that cap back. You know what I'm saying? So
yes, sir.
That's kind of where I'm at on it. So
either way, Elijah figured it out. Emilio, love this. He says if the O-line doesn't work out, we can put Travis Glover at DB opposite side of Ja. So
there you go. Breaking news. You got it. I'll tell you this, Emilio will be totally on board with that move. I promise you that.
He's screaming all the way from Puerto Rico right now. Like, yeah, let's go, TG.
Oh, did he get deported?
I was hoping he would jump on live, but
Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, so no, he was not deported.
No, it's not.
It is pretty funny though. You guys want to share the image that Emilio sent us on text just a second ago?
Oh my gosh,
I didn't see it.
I'm gonna show you. Haven't seen it, Jacob? Breaking news, Emilio. I wish we'd have screenshotted it and thrown it in here. He sent us a picture of the immigration office down there in Puerto Rico. Right, Tim? Is what you're seeing too. So just saying, he is well aware of what's going on down there, as Emilio is our resident half Mexican here. So he wears that with pride. He's half Italian, half Mexican to the best of my knowledge, which is, man, if you've ever met his mom and dad too, I got a chance to chat with them briefly on a little, like whatever, FaceTime, if you will. Mm. Just the sweetest people in the world. Absolutely awesome people. So
love it.
Yeah. TA. Play it cool out there, Emilio. Stay under the radar, okay? He's probably running around with that cheesehead sombrero, just drawing all kinds of attention to himself. I'm sure. So you guys will see that at the draft. But
we're gonna find a way to get it up here for sure.
Definitely. Anthony said, "Don't drink the water, Emilio." Hey, there's been multiple occasions I've heard people drinking the water in Mexico, and it did not end good at all. I mean, that's Sound like bad news there. Greg S., in our Patreon group, you want to join our crappy Patreon group, just scan the QR code in the upper right. That'll send you to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. If you remember, one of the 3 tiers, the cheapest is like $3. That'll get you access to everything. We just got the other tiers because people wanted to support the show more, and we appreciate them for that for sure. But we're going to be doing giveaways. If you remember one of those 3 tiers, we're going to be giving away an autographed Lucas Van Ness jersey Saturday on the show here live. We'll put everybody's name on the wheel, spin it, and give that away. So, Greg,
How about these hands?
The questions for the show works just like super chats here on YouTube. We'll, if you throw a question to the show in there in the Patreon group, we'll read it on the air. Greg S. says, considering injury history, trade capital, and contract, where would you have Ja on your cornerback big board? And this did confuse me. He kind of clarified too. He said, in case I worded this poorly, I'm referring to the draft board, not the remaining free agent list. Where is the spot that the Ja trade holds more value than the remaining draft prospects? I don't think it's that simple, Greg, but I think I understand what your question is. For me, I think it's probably around a 2nd to a 3rd round pick where I would be okay with moving on from Ja right there. If it's anything later than a 3rd round pick, I think we just hold on to him because I don't expect to find anyone in the 4th round. You know what I'm saying? That's going to potentially, give you a heck. You can't find a guy in the 1st round that you feel like slam dunk. That's going to be a Jaire Alexander on the field, right? It's almost impossible. So for me, that number is probably 3rd, but I would much rather have a 2nd. And it sounds like the market's just not there. Do you guys think I'm understanding that question correctly? And if so, you guys answer it for me here.
I do.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you that it'd have to be a 3rd or lower for me to really think about any good I mean, like you said, man, that after the 3rd, even after the 1st, it's basically a lottery ticket. I mean, you got single-digit % chance that you're going to strike just even a decent player, let alone a great player or a Hall of Fame player, which I don't know if you'd consider Ja up in that upper echelon, but at one point in his career, he was the top of the top. So
yep.
I agree.
I think with Ja, the only issue is the health, right? It's the availability and the health. I mean, when the guy's healthy and he's on the field, we get, the gritty game on Justin Jefferson, right? We get that type of player, a guy who, picks up that secondary. But that is the big question mark. How much Jaire are you going to get? That being said, I'm going to go with what I've seen on the field, and when he's out there on the field, I would agree, Clay. I think at the bare minimum, we got to get a 3rd rounder or better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's all. I think that's all well said. It really does, man. It depends on. It depends on if a team gets needy and wants to give up a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, and that could happen. Like they may get through the free agent process and go, okay, crap, we didn't get the corner we wanted. Let's focus on the draft. And then you get to the draft, and let's say their top 3 corners fly off the board quicker than they expected. Then that might be a draft day call that they go, hey, Ja, let's call Green Bay and see what they'll take for Jaire. And it might not even be a pick this year. It might be like, hey, how about a 2nd rounder next year, a 3rd rounder next year, right? And Goody may pull the trigger if he thinks that that's something worth having for sure. So
I agree. I kind of mentioned that last night. I don't think Goody's going to come off any of these picks this year. I really don't, unless it's to make a move within the draft. But I think any capital he's going to be trying to gain draft capital this year. So if we're going to move a pick, it'll probably be a 2026 pick.
Yeah, definitely. So again, Greg S., thank you for the question there in the Patreon group, buddy. Hopefully we answered that correctly. We got a question here in the chat too I wanted to hit real quick. Aaron Rodgers, not the Aaron Rodgers, but our Aaron Rodgers says, couple of questions. Where do you have these players ranked on your big board? Dorian Strong, cornerback out of Virginia Tech, Logan Brown, tackle out of Kansas, and Elijah Badger, wide receiver out of Florida. So let's go to the draft board real quick, and I'll explain where these guys are at currently on our board. All right. I think I'd already searched for Logan Brown. I know that Dorian Strong, we've got in the 154 spot. Aaron.
Yes.
Logan Brown is very interesting, and I've got him highlighted here. Hopefully I can find him real quick. Let me just do this just to make sure we get him. He's in the 411 spot. And I know that sounds crazy. Let me explain why he's down that far. We're lacking a lot of information here, right? But in 2024, he was 22nd highest rated at his position, which is damn good, right? So the PFF grade checked out in 24. At the end of the college football season, we wait about 2 weeks after the season, and grab these rankings. PFF Big Board had him at 225, and the consensus Big Board had him at 726. So we could change that and say, hey, this dude is definitely an outlier, and they just hadn't walked through the information yet. Let's get the updated number. Or we can stick with this and just roll with it and go, hey, look, I would rather know that at the end of the college football season, Logan Brown was on nobody's radar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That to me, that's more important than just trying to match our board up with the bulk of people. So that's why I think we should probably leave it there. Now, he did score a 9+ RAS, which gives him that 5-point bonus. And we know the Packers are definitely interested, as you can see the cheese emoji right there. So, yeah, I don't know. What's your all's take on that? Again, Dorian Strong, we've got him in the 154 spot, Logan Brown at 411, and then the other one was Elijah Badger, wide receiver out of Florida. We've got him in the 203rd spot. What's your all's take on those guys?
I really like Dorian Strong, specifically his 2023 campaign. I mean, 2024 wasn't bad either. He had a 73.9 playing 12 games, almost 750 defensive snaps. He played predominantly on the wide corner, 683 snaps, played just 38 in the slot. What's even better is that when this guy was targeted all throughout college, the passer rating was junk. Even his first year, where he only played 4 games, he had a 72.2 passer rating of 74.4. But again, 2023, he was an 81.6, played all 13 games, had over 700 snaps. He had a total of 33 targets against him and only 9 catches for 83 yards, 3 interceptions, and a passer rating of 11.8. The guy was absolutely shut down. So I'd love 6'1", good size. I'm on board.
All right. Tim, what about you, Tim? We've got him 2022. We don't have the grade ranking yet. 2023, he was 66th at his position. In 2024, he was 162nd at his position. PFF Big Board had him at 137 at the time, and Consensus Big Board had him in the 95 spot. That's what puts him in 154 for us.
Yeah, I mean, Dorian Strong is definitely a guy that's got value. No question about it. I've been looking at Elijah Badger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to Aaron's point here, Elijah Badger out of Florida, them Gators. We know they don't do much studying, but they play some football down there in Florida. I'll tell you what, 6'1", 192, graded out at 78.6 last year, just shy of 1,000-yard season. Man, 20 yards per reception. I mean, you talk about some late round value right here. This is a guy to keep an eye on for sure.
Tim, check this stat out. Elijah Badger didn't drop a single pass with Florida in 3 straight years.
Yep.
With over 700 plus yards receiving. I mean, you talk about sure hands.
863 in 2022, 713 in 23, 806 in 2024. Yeah, man, 14 tutters in his college career.
And he played in Florida, as Elijah Gwynn says. Gator don't play no. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Don't play no. So when it comes to Elijah Badger, 2022, the 133rd highest graded wide receiver. In 2023, he jumped to 107. In 2024, he jumped all the way up to 81st. So he's gotten better every year. PFF Big Board had him 210. Consensus Big Board had him 197. He scored a 9+ RAS. We'll go back and double check it later, but at the time he had a 9+ RAS. So yeah, he sits in the 203 spot for us currently. But it's worth mentioning his grade ends up being a 140.6. You could typically look at that grade over there and go, I'd be okay with taking him at that spot. You know what I mean? But when you're looking at the overall vertical big board, he is definitely the 203rd highest graded prospect for us, or tied for 202nd, I should say, with Tyler Batty Edge out of BYU. So anything else you guys want to add to those prospects there, man? I appreciate that question, Aaron. That's good stuff, man. Deep diving. So good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, let's get back to Twitter real quick and hit some of the other headlines we wanted to hit. This was shared by Andrew Brandt. You guys tell me if this sounds familiar, okay? You'll notice that most of the stuff you hear on this show when I talk about it, it's not that Clayton's so smart that he figured this stuff out. It's that I listen to people who've been around the game. I'll try to listen to as many podcasts as I can and just absorb what their experience has been and then just try to relay it to our listeners. Well, Andrew Brandt obviously worked for the Packers for a very long time. And you know how I've mentioned before that agents will call up and ask him, hey, do you care if we say you guys are in on this trade or you guys are in on this? No, go ahead. Sure. Drive up the cost on the opponents. Why would I care, right? Here's a perfect example of him explaining that. Tim, if you'll give me some kind of screen grab, if you don't care, it doesn't matter what it is. This was Andrew Brandt on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. They do a phenomenal job over there. Former NFL offensive lineman Ross Tucker, okay? They tweeted this out, and again, this was an interview with Andrew Brandt, former Green Bay Packers executive. And tell me if this don't sound like Lions season.
The other thing to know about these deals is, you should know this by now, the reporting game between agents and the media. All these deals are reported by agents to the media. Sometimes the agent's name is in there. They actually looks like they're writing it for the media. Yeah. So don't believe everything. It's all going to be presented in the best possible light to the player, because that's what the agent wants. The agent wants it out there that this is the biggest XXX bonus, or this is the biggest deal, or this deal's worth X. And especially when I see some agent's name, I'm like, all right, discount that by about 40%, because we know this. This is the game people play between agents and media. You give them you give them the news, you get treated well. I had agents, when I was doing deals with the Packers, say to me, hey, Andrew, can I tell so-and-so from ESPN or NFL Network or Fox that this deal's worth X? And I'm like, knowing it's not worth X, I said, sure, if that gets our deal done, I'm thinking, sure, whatever floats your boat, if that helps. If that helps me close the deal, you want to puff it out there, some unrealistic number, great. I don't care. I'm all about getting the deal done if that helps. And that's what a lot of teams feel. They want to puff it out there, make the player feel good. It's not the real deal, but whatever.
It's not the real deal, but what?
You got hold to the wrong stuff.
Absolutely. So obviously what he's talking about there, guys, is so real. We just experienced it with the Aaron Banks contract. I want to explain what I mean there. I'm going to give you a perfect example. I listened to that earlier and was like, how can I illustrate this, or not illustrate? How can I communicate this to our audience, right? And then 33rd Team did it for me, which is hilarious. So if you go to the 33rd Team's Twitter account, they tweeted this out and said the biggest new contracts handed out so far this season. Number 1, Milton Williams, 4 years, $104 million. Number 2, Sam Darnold, 3 years, $100.5 million. Will Fries, or Fries, however you say it, 5 years, $88 million. Dan Moore, 4 years, $84 million. And then number 5 is Osa Odigizua. Is that right? I think.
Sounds pretty good to me.
4 years, $80 million. And then look at number 6 on the list here. Aaron Banks, 4 years, $77 million. You go, whoa. Guys, they're going off an overall dollar amount. Now, check this out. I said, man, I got to see I know what the guaranteed money is for Aaron Banks. I wonder what the guaranteed money is for the rest of these guys, right? So I went through and ranked them. Again, Aaron Banks sitting in the number 6 spot. It looks like we had the 6th highest paid free agents, what it looks like, correct? On this list. When you just see this tweet in passing, that's what it looks like. The Aaron Banks ranking 6 is very misleading. He's actually 20th amongst all free agent signings with only $27 million guaranteed compared to the top 5 on that list at. So number 1, Milton Williams, of the $104 million, $63 million is guaranteed. Dang. Sam Darnold of the $100.5, $55 million. Osa, $52 million. Moore, $50 million. And then Freeze is undisclosed so far. They haven't announced it yet, right? So again, $27 million on this list. It looks like, man, Aaron Banks is the 6th highest paid free agent. But when you look at the guaranteed money, he's actually 20th. I checked it on Spot Track. Matter of fact, I could probably get that on the screen for y'all right now to show you what I'm talking about here. Because beautiful thing about Spot Track, when you go to their free agent tab, it actually breaks down and specifies average annual value and everything. So these are the top free agents that have signed so far. And if you go total guarantee, which is what we're sorted by right here, just to show you I'm not BSing, right? Look how far down on the list that our boy Aaron Banks is at. He's actually tied, or he's actually 19th now. There must have been another signing, or they got some more information in there. $27 million guarantee. You see what I'm saying? So you look at the overall contract and go, holy overpay. We talked about the other day. You get out of it after 2 years, and you're not looking at a $24, $25 million cap hit in year 3. You're kind of taking taking a bath in it just a touch, and you're coming away with probably 10 million freed up in cap space if you want to move on. Or you can convert, like we talked about too, some of that inflated base salary, because when you look at Aaron Banks' contract, and I don't think it'll pull it up. Actually, it did. Perfect. When you look at his contract, again, look at the base salary in 2025, 1.5 million, right? Then it jumps to 7.7, 5.1. It jumps all the way to 13.1 in 2028. But also look at the roster bonuses. They did this in a way that if he makes the roster, yeah, he's going to make a boatload of money, which means we hit on him, we like him. Now we'll convert some of this to signing bonus and free up some cap. If we missed on him, he's not on the roster, he misses out on that 9.5 there in years 2 and 3. You see what I'm saying? So just want to point that out, that you got to be really careful with the numbers you actually look at when it comes to the contracts. The base salary and the overall value matters, don't get me wrong, but that guaranteed money is what really is going to tell you, okay, where does the rubber meet the road? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anything you guys want to see on this list in terms of the free agents that signed right now? Jacob, Tim, anything here at all y'all want to take a gander at before we move on?
I just wanted to say the kind of the same thing I said last night about Banks. Like, I don't think we're gonna bring a guy like this in expecting him to crap the bed. But it's nice to have a contingency plan built in to that deal. But I'm psyched to see him at left guard or right guard if they move him over there. We'll see what happens with camp or whatever. But I think he's a big boy. He moves well, blocks well. I think he's going to fit in good in Matt's scheme. So, I'm not too worried about the contract. I don't know. What do you think, Jacob?
Yeah, as I see it explained this way, it's way more palatable. Especially can you scroll up just a little bit, Clayton?
Yeah, man.
Everybody, myself included, was saying we got to sign a free agent cornerback or somebody, some sort of splash. And I was talking about Paulson Adebo, slightly Byron Murphy, Carlton Davis. Look at where they are on this list, guys. Paulson Adebo got the Giants to give him almost $40 million guaranteed. Then Charvarius Ward just below that. Byron Murphy. I wouldn't want to pay half of that for any of those players. I mean, even DJ Reed down there, that Detroit got a little bit of a steal with him at $32 million. I wouldn't be willing to pay that. I mean, I'd much better. You guys know how cheap I am, but draft and develop. And plus, if we've got guys that are in the hopper that we've taken chances on that we haven't even really got to see play yet, who knows? We could have that diamond in the rough. I don't need to go pay $30 million for a bunch of subpar players.
All right. And again, there's a good chunk of players on this list that I look at and go, good player, but not great. Mm-hmm. And the key is overpay for great, never overpay for good. And I think a lot of teams overpaid for good. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like our team wouldn't be better with some of these players on it, just not for that price. You truly got to run it through that filter. And once again, I didn't make that filter. I didn't make up that whole equation of, overpay for great, not good. That's something that comes from the Bill Walsh school of thinking, through Michael Lombardi, through Bill Belichick. That's how they look at contractually how you choose who you want to overpay for and don't want to overpay. Let me give you another example. David Andrews was just cut by the Patriots. David Andrews' best football is far behind him, right? You go back 5 years, he's one of the best centers in the game. He's a captain, right? That would be a perfect example of if you brung him in at center, he would have been a significant upgrade, in my opinion, over Josh Myers, right? But I don't even know if he's a good player now. He's probably above average. I'm just being honest. That's kind of how bad Myers has been. It would still be an upgrade. But if you added him to the team, the offensive line would be better. But you would be overpaying for above average to good as opposed to overpaying for great. So what did they do? They went and took Aaron Banks. On the surface, it looks like, holy cow, they overpaid. Actually, they didn't. Look at the guaranteed money. Essentially, it turns into a 2-year, $27 million deal if you want to look at it that way, if you restructure it in that fashion. I don't think Goody's going to go to the nth degree in that restructure to make it seem that way. But it's just when you're looking at these names, I'm with you, Jacob. I don't see any that I go, man, that's the dude. That's the dude right there.
I agree. I was with Jacob. Like maybe we grab one of those corners, and then I look at what the Steelers just paid, like Darius Slay, for example.
Yeah,
it makes me think like, man, how about that draft? And how about Goody cooking with Mr. Hobbs coming to town? I think that's a great value signing right there. So, yeah, I'm with it at this point.
And you remember when we signed Hobbs, it was like, dang, they overpaid for this dude. $16 million in guaranteed. That's 8th most amongst corners.
He's the youngest on that list.
Yeah.
Look at who popped in.
No, we don't. You've been warned, guys. It hasn't popped up. We don't have a video feed yet. It may.
There we go.
Man, live from Puerto Rico.
Hey, that's my shirt.
It is your shirt. What are you doing, Emilio?
Yeah, you borrowed one of Jacob's shirts. I love it.
Hey, that's my shirt, he said.
Emilio.
Yeah, we're in town. I'll try to get us to the ocean later.
All right, looking beautiful. Yeah, hey, you ain't kidding nobody, dude. I know that's Alcoa Highway. You ain't out there. Come on. Who you lying to?
Too laggy.
There it is, too laggy. All right, you heard it from the fan right here.
Back soon. I love it.
We'll get him out of here before he says something inappropriate, cussing the camera and not knowing that he's actually on the air. So, yeah, we'll get him on later tonight for sure. So, I don't know. You guys think he's really in Puerto Rico? What do you think, man?
Nah.
Oh, we're going to give him some.
I like that Jacob just wasted no time. Like, no way. No way, no how.
Jacob said he's at Walmart in Florida. I know it.
Telling you, he's still down in Knoxville. I seen those fake palm trees out front of a landscaping business. I know what's going on down there. So it's not. He's at Costco. There you go. All right. So anything else with the free agent list here? I was trying to pull up the wide receivers to see if Chris Godwin is on this list. I don't see him yet because he took a very team-friendly deal. I just can't remember what the guaranteed money was. It showed like $22 million per, but I want to say it was significantly less guaranteed. I don't see it, like I said, on the list here yet. So.
$20 million less is what I heard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that he basically they were like, "Hey, you want to leave Tampa?" And he was like,
"I'm not going to. So quit asking."
No, Emilio says he's live from 3G. So there you go. He went all the way back to 3G. Appreciate you chiming in there, Emilio. You're the man, dude. Let's see here, Prince in the chat. Prince in the chat. I didn't know they had Home Depots in Puerto Rico. You kidding me? All right, so Devontae Adams ended up getting $26 million guaranteed, right? You guys know the number we put on him was somewhere between like 14 to 16 million is what we would pay him. And if that was fully guaranteed for a year, I would have been totally fine with that, right? And if it don't work out, no harm, no foul. They ended up giving him a 2-year deal worth $44 million. Average annual of $22 million per, with $26 million guaranteed. So, again, if that guaranteed number had been somewhere around 14 to 18 million, I'd have been like, man, I wish we'd have signed him. The fact that he got that much, I'm okay with us passing on him. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't.
His receiving is tough.
And then, of course, the Darius Slayton, that blows my mind. $22 million guaranteed for Darius Slayton. Not a huge fan there for sure. So, and again, all the wide receiver numbers aren't in yet. We're just kind of keeping an eye. And I bet that was because Chris Godwin was a re-sign as opposed to free agent, right? He didn't technically hit the market. They re-signed him before, is what it sounds like. So that's probably why he's not on this list. So, all right, there's a little free agent talk for y'all here on this midday PTA. Appreciate y'all joining us. Hit that like button if you don't mind. And let's move on to the next topic here. We had a little bit of news here. I'm trying to remember who tagged me in it because I just grabbed the original tweet. I apologize, but one of our awesome listeners tagged me in this tweet. And it looks like insider notes on Georgia State Pro Day. The Georgia State Pro Day took place yesterday, and 17 teams were on hand primarily to see one player, offensive lineman Ben Chukwuma. Is that right? Chukwuma? A developing blocker who became a full-time starter last season. Chukwuma measured 6 foot, 6.5, 303 pounds with arms just under 34 inches. He timed 5.17 seconds in the 40. The New York Jets have closely monitored him since last season, and the Green Bay Packers are also showing interest in the big tackle. There's a bit of irony in the Packers' interest as last year they drafted Chukwuma's former teammate Travis Glover in the 6th round. He ultimately made the final roster, and according to Emilio's Pro Bowl voting, he made the Pro Bowl as well, and is the team's backup right tackle. So,
who?
whoever tagged me in it, they specifically mentioned Emilio. They cracked up as soon as they seen Travis Glover's name there. So there you go. That's it. Yeah, Prince says that's where Emilio actually is, looking for the next Travis Glover. So I don't want to hate too much because Travis Glover's a young player, but if it continues at the rate we've seen, we could probably find one right down the road here where I live, just walking down the street. I'm just saying. I try not to be that guy, but
down there in the holler, just check it out.
Right at the foot of the holler, Tim. So anyway, just wanted to mention Packers are over there visiting Georgia State. Also want to give a shout out to Dusty Evely. You guys know him on Twitter at Dusty Evely. Go give him a follow. He's been breaking down a lot of Nate Hobbs run blitzing and coverage snaps and things like that. I would show it, but the last time we did, we got flagged here on YouTube, so we got to be really, really careful with that stuff. And what else did we have here? I think we're all caught up. Yeah, we're all good. We had one quick little clip I thought was funny. Let's hit this. Give me another screen grab if you don't care, Tim. This was from the New Heights podcast, obviously with the Kelsey brothers, and they were talking specifically with Matt Stafford about Aaron Donald, and it was kind of like, it sounded like it was like a Make-A-Wish type thing, where maybe a kid that's been sick or a teenager that's battled cancer got to go in and meet their favorite player. Listen to this experience this kid had with Aaron Donald. You guys remember Aaron Donald, right? Just an absolute monster defensive tackle. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer from the Rams, no doubt about it. Listen to this story. This cracked me up. And again, this is Matt Stafford with the Kelsey brothers on the New Heights podcast.
He's a maniac in the weight room, right? I'll never forget. We had like a Make-A-Wish kid had been like, my dream is to go like be with Aaron Donald for a day kind of thing. And thankfully this kid at that point had kind of beaten the odds and had beaten the cancer that he had, I believe, and like was really awesome on the mend. And it was really cool. Like he came in and you're like, oh man, this guy's like doing good, right? High school kid, bigger kid, loved to play football. And AD was like, cool, come work out with me, right? I'm walking by, I'm like, yo, what's about to go down? Yeah, right. I'm over there doing like banded something, and like 30 minutes in, and AD's just ripping curls out. Next thing you know, this kid is puking in the trash can. Oh my God. And I'm like, AD, can you please like have a little couth, a little understanding? Like, maybe now got what he wanted. You want to be AD? You got to work like AD. It was on chemo for months, AD. I'm like, God, can we just relax on the bicep curls for a little bit? It's like, how many do we do till we throw up? You know what I mean? It was just like unbelievable.
So anyway,
thick.
Yeah, Aaron Donald ain't playing no games. And can you imagine this kid survived cancer, right? And it's Make-A-Wish. I want to go meet AD. Take him in the weight room. How long do we do curls? Till we throw up. That's when we do it. So, love it, man. Could you imagine being – and I love how Matt Stafford also said, I'm kind of watching it happen. I just grabbed some bands and just working out in the corner with some bands.
Matt Stafford was over there looking like Jeff Hafley. Like, what the hell?
This kid has no idea. I love what Jason Kelsey said, too. He's like, kid just finished chemo. Like, what are you doing, HD? Jeez, Pete. So, anyway, that is a really good podcast if y'all have never heard it. I'm not a Travis Kelsey fan, but I'm a big Jason Kelsey fan. I think Jason Kelsey played the game the right way. But it's a really good podcast. It's good content, and they get great guests on there. So, anyway, Emilio, he's down there looking for the next wall replacement, what he said. So, there you go. Too old for this. Imagine Big B working out with Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, but you got to give Big B his props. He broke the big story when he did his Make-A-Wish. So shout out to Big B for sure.
Big B was working. They thought, he's gonna. Yeah, no, he was working.
They had no idea they had a media plant inside the facility. I love it.
It was like Denzel Washington meme. Like, I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with something. Right? That's what Big B was there thinking. So. Anything else, guys, before we wrap up here, man? This has been a fun little surprise show for sure.
No, I don't have anything. Jacob's got to get back to the office, so we don't want to stall too long, right?
I will say that breaking news just a few hours ago.
What? Did you say breaking news?
The Patriots are releasing veteran center David Andrews. And I pulled him up, and he didn't have a great year this last year. It looks like he got hurt after week 4. But prior to that, his last grades were 71.2, 74.5, 79.6, 67, 75, 83, 71. And his rookie year was a 61.5, but played substantial snaps up until just this last year. Otherwise, it looks like he's pretty much played the bulk of his career without getting injured. Would you guys be willing to take a chance on a guy like David Andrews, who is about to probably be around that dirty 30 age? But
you said 29, right?
Say what?
He's 29.
I don't know exactly. I got a date of birth was in 92, 32.6 years old.
Yeah, he's got a
so he's up there.
Yeah, and you guys know I follow the Patriots pretty closely. David Andrews, like I mentioned earlier, team captain, one of those dudes in the locker room for Belichick that held everything together. He battled some kind of medical condition. I can't remember if it was a blood condition or something. I want to say it was something to do with his blood, and he had to take a year off, and then he battled back from that. But yeah, for me, it's the perfect example of if you could get him for a vet minimum, sure, make him your backup center, and boy, you feel pretty good about that. And a great locker room dude, like I said, former team captain. But Jacob, I personally think his best football is behind him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just hangs it up. Could be wrong, but I think it would be a no for me because I don't think he'd be interested in playing for a vet minimum, and I honestly don't think Goody would bring him in either. You know, What do you think, Tim?
No, that was my question. Do you think he'd take a vet minimum deal, and what is the market going to be like for him? Because he could be one of those guys that's, maybe hanging around, October, November, and you can pick him up off the street if you feel like you need him. Mm-hmm. I don't know about making a move right now. And like you said, how sweetheart of a deal is he willing to take to keep playing football? But I see where Jacob's coming from. Like, you have to look at guys like this because right now, with the depth we have currently on the O-line and, being outside of OTAs and, we're not even at the draft yet. We don't know how the line's going to shape up and, how the grind of a season, can go. So maybe that's a guy you put a little star next to and keep him on your short list. He could be like a plug and play, patch and fill kind of guy on your O-line if you really need him, but I don't see being aggressive right now for him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Somebody just tagged me in a tweet, Bruce Wayne, not the Bruce Wayne. He's our Bruce Wayne.
Batman?
Tagged me in a tweet on Twitter where Rob Domofsky, it sounded like he misunderstood something that Rob was reporting. Bruce just said, and this happens to me all the time, Bruce, this ain't a shot at you, buddy. You kidding me? That's why I like having the guys on there. I go, am I understanding that correctly, fellas? Because most of the time, as Mandy says, I hear what I want to hear and not what I actually hear. So, but it says, C and Rob Domofsky reported that they are not trading Jaire and are moving forward with him on the roster, and they're in good cap space and don't need his money off the books or lowered. I see nothing coming. And then Rob had just tweeted at him and said, I never said that Jaire will be playing for the Packers this coming season. And then he just and Bruce Wayne said, I misread this, my mistake. But the tweet was, at this point, cornerback Jaire Alexander remains a member of the Packers while X was down. This was the other day. A source said Packers GM Brian Gutekunst is, quote, not moving him yet. It remains to be seen what happens if they don't trade him and whether that would lead to his outright release. Obviously, that was before the start of the free agency there. So I think we've covered that pretty well, to be honest with you guys. I think the whole process, we try not to jump in one direction or the other and kind of stay even kill on it. I think there's a legit shot he could return to the Packers. And I think there's a legit shot that Goody's just waiting for someone to get a little more desperate to be during the draft. We might hear it. Well, we might be right there in Green Bay come draft weekend and we get the announcement, there's been a trade and find out that Jai's been traded for a pick. If he's healthy, and when I say healthy, I don't mean playing 17 games. If you could get, 12 to 14 games out of him, knowing how the contract is structured now with the majority of the guaranteed money gone, I'd be all right with it.
I'll take 10 games at this point.
Yeah. If you can give me a second or a third round pick for him, I'd probably bite on that. But if we're talking a fifth or a sixth, what's the harm in keeping him? Yep. If he does get hurt, he's not taking up a roster spot. You throw him on that four-week IR, activate someone. They've already prepared, I feel like, in case he is gone, with adding a little bit of depth, and you'll add more depth in the draft as well. So
things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
Again, I do think it's a good sign, though, that he reached out to Hobbs. He did not have to do that, and there were no ties to the best of my knowledge. So I think that is, even if it's just moving it 1%, the fact that he reached out to Hobbs, a new free agent signing at his position, with no prior knowledge of them having any kind of friendship or any kind of connection, probably sways it a little more. Jai might be thinking about being a Packer this year. So.
That also gives a little credit to Jai in the attitude department, right? See you, Jake.
See you, Jake. Thank you, buddy.
The fact that we talked about, like, what is his mindset? What is his attitude about, this locker room and being a Packer? I think reaching out to Hobbs personally, I mean, that speaks volumes. It really does. It shows that in my eyes, and maybe, I'm the biggest Jaire fan in the world, so I'm a little biased, but it sounds to me like a guy that's like happy for, a teammate coming into this organization, someone that he can get out there on the field with. Probably doesn't look at, Hobbs as like, competition or anything like that. He just looks at it as, hey, we're going to roll with this personnel, and, happy we got some more depth in the cornerback room. So to me, I think it's great.
Yeah. Elijah Gwynn in the chat says, Jaire and a third for Trey Hendrickson. Bengals need a DB. I would be okay with that. I would be all right with that, because you're getting a significant upgrade. I mean, you're getting the NFL sack leader, right? One of the most consistent pass rushers over the last few years of Trey Hendrickson. You're getting it at a tier 1 position, which is obviously edge, or if you want to try to play him at a 4-tech or what have you. I think that would – one of those scenarios makes more sense than like a 4th or a 5th round pick. You know what I mean, Tim? And I would have no problem paying Trey Hendrickson a new contract. It's going to break the bank. There's no doubt about it. But you can maneuver it in a way that you can make it work and make it happen. And if he does fall off, you could have it to where you could get out of it in a couple of years. And if he wants to take another chance somewhere else, you could do that. The problem is, it seems like the Bengals didn't expect as much interest in him. And now all of a sudden they're going, hey, we want a 1st round pick for him,
Right.
Now, Jaire, maybe they view him as, hey, look, this dude's going to be good for the next 3 or 4 years. That might be the equivalent in our eyes, based off our specific needs, coupled with a 3rd round pick could equal 1st round value.
I mean, I think that's got a great point, right? Bengals need a DB, and I think Jai's more than just like a DB. He's one of the better DBs in the league, and then at least when healthy, right? And then you look at us, we need help in the trenches. We need help up front there. So, I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world. And then it kind of lends credibility to what you just said. Like, maybe this is a draft day move for all we know, right? All of a sudden, Ja gets moved with a pick, and, we've got Trey Hendrickson here in Green Bay. You never know.
Yeah, it's not over yet. And again, there's going to be a flurry of trades on draft night. Most of them will just be picks for picks, but I think there will also be a couple that could potentially have players attached. So that would be really exciting if Trey Hendrickson did not get traded, and then draft night you get that announcement. That would be kind of cool too. So
crazy, right?
So hold out hopes for that for sure. So
yep.
All right, guys, that's it. I got to get running. Appreciate y'all joining us. I can't believe we got almost 300 people in here watching just on a random afternoon show. Tim, thank you for carving out the time, and Jacob on his lunch break jumped in.
That was awesome, right? He actually made it home. He's probably speeding on his way to work right now.
Right. I got to go run some errands. Tim's got important stuff to do. Jacob's, working, paying the bills, and Emilio's just running around another country like he's a free man. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Kicking it like our boy Kyler Murray, right? Out on a boat, right? Just, chilling.
Just hanging out. All right. Appreciate everybody. This was fun. Thanks to the Patreon group, the questions, all that good stuff. Everybody in the chat, hit that like button for us. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Do a morning show, 8:30 a.m. Central. Get your Friday started right. And then, of course, we'll do an evening show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central. So no show tonight. Everybody take the evening off. You probably need a break from us anyway, and I don't blame you one bit. So everybody have a great day. Take care.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.